Getting things to code at home is often an integral part of the hiring process. I've seen tons of examples of both great and poor solutions. How to make yours land in the proper bracket. Hi, my name is Tomasz and I'm a former tech lead and manager. Today I want to tell you how to properly solve your coding homework. You've got an email with instructions what you should do. Read it several times and make sure you can answer the following questions. What technology is expected? What degree of freedom do I have? What business requirements does it have? What is the deadline? And how I should submit the code. Maybe via public repository or via private one, or just by sending the archive to the recruiter. If you're missing anything, even partially, write back and ask. This is very important because it will not only give you the information, but it will also show the company that you are taking action when something is not clear. This is an important quality that most hiring managers will look for. Let's stop here for a minute. Imagine you don't fully understand what the code you're supposed to deliver should do. You write an email for more clarifications, but the response comes negative. Something like, you should figure it out yourself, or, and that's a real example, don't think about the business, just deliver the code. Would you consider this a red flag? Please tell me down in the comments. This might seem obvious, but I know a lot of people just try to wing the homework. Don't. Approach this as you would any other project, and it should start with planning out your work. You know how much time you've got, you know your speed. Play an estimation game. Verify whether you can make it on time. Add roughly 25 to even 50% time as a buffer. Typical coding plan shouldn't really differ from a normal delivery plan you do for a feature. It should consist of laying out requirements in whatever form you feel easiest to follow. This can be a Kanban board, sticky notes, a checklist, whatever works for you. Preparation of environment, so everything from linting through tests to building works. Solving the challenge, including tests and documentation. Manual testing, so everything not covered by unit and integration tests can be tested, especially edge cases. And last but not least, refinement, to make sure the code is of the best quality. When planning, make sure to do at least rough estimations of how each part will take. If it turns out that you exceed the deadline, you have two options. You can either try to cut down by slimming down the plan, or you can ask for more time. The former makes sense if you find a good compromise between your ambitions and the clock. For example, you can have some of your documentation auto-generated, or you can skip end-to-end tests. Asking for more time for me as a hiring manager was never a red flag, but you never know. I will repeat myself here. Don't wing this assignment. Don't submit low quality solution. Remember, you are not the only person applying, and a hiring manager won't take two looks at something that reeks of low effort. This is where the refinement plan kicks in. Once you write the code and all the tests are green, and you test everything manually, it's time to polish it up. Make sure to follow all the rules you think apply to the problem at hand. If you see that something should be refactored, do it. If something has this particular code smell, take care of it. And speaking of tests, do them. You don't have to aim for 100% coverage, but having at least the most crucial parts tested will definitely show the reviewer that you both treat this seriously and that you know what is required from a production application. Again, this assignment was sent to a lot of folks, and the choice who to invite for to a follow-up will very often come to details. All the refinement aside, make sure you are not overdoing it. I know there is always this temptation to show off and to make your tiny to-do app scalable to millions of requests per second. Splitting into microservices, putting a service mesh, don't, unless the requirements clearly state it is required. No assignment should be big enough to warrant such solutions. Knowing what tools to use and when to stop when it comes to optimization is something hiring managers are looking for. If you throw everything you know at a simple problem, it might seem that you only know this one solution and you're using it everywhere. If you use Material UI for a 5 component project, it will certainly look great, but the first question the reviewer will have is why using this huge library for such a tiny thing? A good compromise here is to add a section in your documentation where you will describe your plan to expand the application in various ways. There you can include everything you think applies, such as separation into smaller components or smaller services or using external libraries. Don't ignore the README file. It is the first thing your reviewers will see after they open or clone the repository. Make sure it has at least some text, including detailed stack, all third-party libraries, frameworks, business case description, so people will know that you actually understood the task at hand, deployment strategy, if it's applicable, and the to-do section. How would you improve the solution? What is missing from it? Don't be afraid to write everything you want. I never saw a too long README, but I most certainly saw projects where the README was non-existent or it was just a title. Putting the app live is one of the best things you can do. For starters, it will show your hiring manager and reviewers that it actually builds and deploys. Then they will have easier time reviewing and verifying business requirements. Lastly, they will see how optimized and performant it is. Often companies ask for a live version, but even if the requirements don't state it, do it anyway. This is far from overdoing it. It just shows that you understand that code on its own is worthless. Doing the coding homework is often tedious and boring. After all, you are doing something you probably did hundreds of times before at your job, but make sure to pull all you can into it, as it will definitely make the difference. As mentioned earlier, you compete against tens, maybe hundreds of other people. Make sure your solution stands out. Thank you for watching till the end and good luck in the follow up interview.